right, we are live. I already see 8 people have joined our conversation. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the U-Turn Show. If you are new to this platform, this is a space where we are empowering our communities through impactful conversations, real life stories and resources for youth and women. So we spotlight voices that challenge limits and those that remind us that growth only happens the moment we choose new path, new direction. So if you are, we always ask, if you are that person who's navigating change at the moment, looking for clarity in your career, in your life, or building the next big thing in South Sudan and abroad, you belong here. So let's begin our conversation. Today we are spotlighting Moira Onek, one of powerful voice in ICT in South Sudan. I don't want to take the shine away from her. I want her to take this opportunity to introduce herself to our audience and share a bit about her journey. How did she end up being in ICT or being in tech in the country at the national level, just not just tech, but at national level as a woman? Maura, welcome to the UTech and take it away.
Thank you so much, Akol and your team. Just as way of introduction, my name is Moira Onek. I work for the National Communication Authority, which is the regulator of ICTs and telecommunications in South Sudan. And I work as a special program officer in the Office of the Director General, the Office of the DG. My background is, in as much as I'm in a technological and ICT space, I do not have an engineering or a software background, but I'm a lawyer. So I did law, University of Nairobi, and I have just finalized a master's in law, technology, and innovation from the University of Strathclyde in Scotland. I should be graduating this summer in June or July. For special programs within the NCA, I have spearheaded a program, which is a part of a global initiative by the International Telecommunication Union, the Girls in ICT Initiative, which is meant to bridge the digital divide. So on a state level or on a national level, our initiative is called Build Banat Initiative for Leadership and Digital Development. It's an NCA initiative for girls to learn digital literacy, but to also get access to computers, because once you complete our program, which is around 6 weeks, that also includes mentorship, you are also given access to technology. That is, for us, that is part of bridging the digital divide. It has to be full circle. But now, with my new expertise, I'm also looking to focus into work related to policy and advocacy in the technology space. So the intersection between law and technology, with focus on the impact of emerging technologies, concepts of AI, algorithms, and how they affect us. So far, I have contributed to the Cyber Crimes and Computer Misuse Act that was passed by Parliament late last year, and hopefully the president will be able to assent it into law, which is quite essential for any technical space for us to be able to effectively operate, have a digital economy. We need to know that we are safe, and in the same breath, we're currently working on a data protection bill, and hopefully, within probably the next few months, we will have a draft ready to be presented to Parliament. So that's just a brief overview of who I am and some of the things that I do. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. You are doing a lot. And I can see the reason why you are here. You are turning the tide, you are turning the low, you are turning the country to the right direction. Thank you so much for taking on that role. And for those who are new, actually, or who might not know, one of our U-Turn fellow here, Liz York, actually is a mentee of Moira, and she's a rising young leader in the space of technology, thanks to people like Moira, who, when they get opportunity to rise up, they hold the hands of young girls through initiative that you just mentioned. So if you are here watching the U-turn today, I hope you are taking notes and being inspired to also see the journey of Moira and see what you can do within your capacity of mentoring the next leaders when you get the capacity. And if you are the young person, you should also look up to people like Moira to guide your path, to turn you to the right direction. So thank you for that brief introduction. I'll hand it over to our lead host today, Joel March, to guide us through the next part of the conversation, the question that we prepared for you. Thank you. Joel, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Akwala. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching. We always welcome you to join us and to have the conversation
Joel, I
at
can't hear
U-turn. If you
you.
are someone, are you not getting me? Hello,
I can hear you.
hello, hello.
You're good. I can hear you.
I
Right
think I'm
now,
having an issue with the audio because I can't hear anyone.
Oh,
are you getting me? Is
Yes,
anyone getting me?
technology, our best friend sometimes can be an enemy, but yeah, maybe you can reduce your volume a little bit and see if we can, if our guests can hear you well.
Are you getting me?
But can you hear me, Maura?
I, yes, I can hear you, but I can't hear him.
Oh, okay. So maybe I can, while Joel fix it, I can carry on the conversation to the first question, and then Joel will come and lead the rest. Joel, maybe you
No
can
worries.
go back and return to the platform. You can log out and come back. So Maura, just to build on the initial conversation, you said your background is from law, and then now you are in ICT, and implementing some of the major initiatives that need government approval, that need government support to put into law, like data protection. So what can you say from your own experience at the National Communication Authority of South Sudan? What does you as a woman, just to bring it back to the topic of today, women at the table, what does being that woman at the table leading this major initiative means to you, and in terms of policy and decision making space?
I think also it's about understanding what does um, as a woman, what you being on the table, what does that mean? Because we also always have to differentiate with the fact that representation and influence can mean very different things, in the sense that I might be part of NCA, but I might not be influencing decisions. But from my side, from my experience, having led the initiative, it's the fact that the ecosystem that I'm in, the authority itself, the DG, um, they have gone out of their way to actually create an enabling environment that enables me to lead, to actually make decisions about the program, about what we participate in, about being accountable for money, because there are resources that we need towards this. So for me, it's the fact that the authority itself has also has made it part of its policy internally that as a woman, I will be given the same opportunity that if a man would be leading the same initiative, that I'm able to carry through the program till the very end, and I come back with accountability, and with transparency, and say, okay, this is how much that I was given. This is what the money was used for. This is what our impact is. This is what our challenges are moving forward. This is what we hope the authority would be able to to contribute and look into. And so that support that you're given is very crucial for me to be able to have that type of influence that I need. So for me, I think that's very key, to have support, an ecosystem that actually looks for women, that creates initiatives and spaces for women to actually participate, because technology in its own has always been slated to belong to men, to be a man's world. But now someone like me can come in, and as young as I am, because I should be turning 31 in the next few days, um, for a country like South Sudan, I am quite young, because if you go to a lot of these spaces, it's usually led by a lot of our elder people, and we respect them for that. But also for spaces to be created for me on an intersectional level, being that I am young and a woman, it sends a very strong message that even the government itself wants to have those diverse voices, those diverse perspectives into policies and into initiatives and programs that they're putting in place. Yeah.
Wow, and happy birthday in advance. Being at just
Thank
30
you.
and being, leading such big initiative, it's really a big kudos. And I can just imagine how you feel being in that space with older folks, especially older men. So what would you say has been your biggest asset in, enabling you to be fully present in such spaces from personal perspective? Now you speaking to other young girls who might feel intimidated by virtue of being women, by virtue of being young, to be in that space. No one would imagine to be there. So what are some of the skills or practical things that you think are enabling you to be there, or what kind of mentorship you had to enable you to be there?
I think for me, the biggest thing is believing in myself, and also believing that I belong, because so many times it's a lot easier to get into a space and become intimidated, and looking around people who have probably have 20 years on or experience in that particular setup. Because by the time I was joining the NCA, I had just finished I just graduated in 2020, so I joined NCA in 2021, and I was able to run my first cohort in 2023. So it just means that I chose to believe in myself, and when an opportunity presented itself, I was able to market myself. Because I remember I actually went to my boss with the proposal, because like I said, Girls in ICT is not initiative is not a South Sudan product. It's a policy that is being promoted by the ITU, the International Telecommunication Union. And so I saw an opportunity for South Sudan, and I went to my boss and I said, hey, I was actually quite scared. I was very afraid, but I went to him and I told him, I think we have a really good opportunity. What do you think? And I gave him, because I already did the work, I went with a concept note, how I thought we would be able to implement it, what would be the objectives, what would be the impact that we would be looking to have. And when you already have all, you've done half of the work, it's finished, and you go and say, I think I have something that would actually benefit the institution, that instead of us just having, because Girls in ICT Day is celebrated every year, I didn't want us to just have a celebration every year. I wanted us to have stories and impacts, because Leith is here and she's saying, hey, they were able to give me an opportunity. I was able to access a technology. I was able to use it to apply for my programs, and here I am. So if I was quiet, if I was intimidated and say, oh no, this space belongs to people who have been here longer, I'm young, I am naive, I don't know. No, my one thing is that anytime you're in a space, you belong there, you have every opportunity that everyone else has. Because if you choose to sit back, there is a leaf somewhere that would have benefited from your idea, but because you chose to sit down on it, it's impacting a larger group of people, and we will never be able to. And if I did not do that, I would not have this platform right now to be able to speak of my work. I would not have actually gotten a new title. It would not have forced me to want to go back to school, do a master's, improve myself. So my thing is, if you are in a space, you deserve to be there. Let no one else tell you anything else. Yeah.
What a powerful statement. If you are in a space, you belong there. Own it, take it, sit, learn. That is what I hear. And if you are a young girl who is watching this, or a young boy, please put that comment, and you can have a follow-up question also, to really talk about how confidence can take you for how your mindset. What I'm hearing is a mindset of believing in yourself, believing in your capabilities, and putting in the work, being prepared. I heard someone come with concept notes. Not many people know that at that age. Some people are just still scrolling and not knowing how to come prepared to this table with your document ready. So thank you so much. I'll pass on the conversation to Alaki to ask the next second question. But I'm really, really inspired by how you own this space and run with it, and you are impacting change already. Alaki, take it away.
If I may, Joel, if your microphone is good, I hope you can go first and I'll
Are you
wait.
saying me? Um,
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect.
okay. Thank you, Moira. We have really understood the first questions. So my key takeaway from that is that you ladies outside there, if you need to be involved in everything. Like if you are in a space, you need to step up, and you should not be a spectator. You should also be involved in decision making. So if you can't influence outcomes, then you're not a leader. So you need to pull up your socks and be strong. So number two is that what are the biggest structural barriers to women leadership, as per your experience, what you have seen? So that's our second question.
I think the challenges that face in the ICT technological sector, they're not unique to this sector. They're the same systemic barriers that cut across, that actually are consistently preventing women from taking up spaces. Stereotypes, think about it. In technology, again, I remember saying that people say that sciences and ICTs are more suited for men. So if as a woman you've internalized this, then there is no way you're going to be part of this particular space. You will continuously think that you belong in a different setup. One of my nieces, and we were having this conversation this past weekend. She's in senior four now, and she's struggling with the sciences. And I'm asking her, you're in the same class with these people, you have the same teacher. The difference is the mindset. You keep thinking that these are hard. Someone else thinks it's easy. So once your mindset shifts, everything else will start falling into place. So those stereotypes, those biases that are transferred from generation in a household, sometimes it's teachers that speak them to you. It's your aunties, it's your mom, it's your dad. So these are those cultural stereotypes that keep sticking onto us. And also the same things happen when you now come to a workspace. You have gendered roles of what a woman can and cannot do. They will say, oh no, a woman cannot lead, women are too emotional, women are not good decision makers, women are better suited in work that has service, the work that nurtures. No, women so such things prevent proper, actual, meaningful participation of women. But also on the flip side, you have a skills gap, education, opportunities for women. I'm sure South Sudan, our statistics probably will not be the best. And already girls are not in school, but also girls are not in school pursuing ICT and STEM related subjects. So now once there's a skill gap, there is nothing else that can be done to be able to remedy that situation. So these two feed into each other. You have a skills gap, and then you have cultural and cultural stereotypes that have been ingrained in people. So for me, I think those are the two barriers that are really preventing women to effectively participate in these spaces and to end up taking up leadership roles.
Wow. Thank you for that insightful information that you've given us on that questions. And girls, that you should know, you're only blocked by the system, not the lack of you're not lacking the ability to do certain works. So that's all I've taken from that. So, like, social expectations that limits women should be exposed. Like right now, you're already in the system, so it's you to speak on behalf of your gender. So tell them this is not how system should go. We have the ability. Can't you see that I'm doing it? I'm handling this. There are some other ladies, young minds, who can also become like me. So thank you for that, and I'm really impressed on how you handle that. The next question should go for Lith. Lith, take it from me.
All right, that was so insightful. I'm so happy the way Moira has answered the question. That is it. What you mean for women to be in leadership? They normally don't forget their ladies behind. They always wanted to bring people up so that they be at the same level. And one thing with the women is that when they get the space, they use it wisely. They don't just use it for job. So thank you, Moira. You have really done a great job. The third question that we got to is that we are in South Sudan and we have a lot of issues, stereotypes. As you stated before, some of the ladies they are not considered to be in the STEAM network, or some of them they be like computer science and ICT. They are not for women and they are not for girls. They cannot do anything with it. So the question is, how does the policy design influence digital inclusion, especially for young women and girls in undeserved communities? So, how do you go about that?
I think it's important to understand that policy plays a very important role in deciding the direction that a country is taking. So for us, in a digital, technological, telecommunication space, the type of policy we have will determine how people access services, how people access connectivity, how people access devices, ideas of safety for participation. So policies in terms of, now, if you think of access in the ICT technologies, in the ICT sector, you're talking about connectivity for us to be able to have this opportunity to be online. There's a bigger number of people that do not have this. And so the question is, what is South Sudan's policy in related to connectivity? The National Communication Authority has an initiative called Connecting South Sudan. And it's an initiative that was started by the former Director General, Napoleon Adok. And it was rural connectivity. Take the connection, meaningful connectivity to the people. And over time, throughout his tenure, you could see that he was going all over the states to the hard to reach places. The institution made investment, erecting towers to places that the mobile network operators would not go to. They would erect towers, and then invite them and say, okay, we've done the hard work for you. Go on and attach, put on your equipment. Let people be connected. So those are some of the policies. You would have that any equipment that is brought in for rural connectivity would have tax exemption. And this is something that is coming from the presidency level, because they understand that for people to have access, for people to have effective participation, they need to be connected. So how do we encourage our investors, in this case, the private sector, the mobile network operators, the telecommunication providers, how do we encourage them to do more of this? So you remove one of the biggest barrier, which is taxes. So you will see that over time, the number of people who are connected is going higher, which is a good thing. Then also policy will determine affordability of devices. What's the point of being connected if you can't afford a phone? Because there are places you would go and there's only one phone. So everyone has to wait for that phone to, people have SIM cards, but they don't have phones. So now the question is, what is the government doing to ensure that people have access to these devices, affordability, in terms of opportunities for girls to participate in ICT STEM related focus issues. The Constitution speaks of a 35% gender representation. That's a policy, affirmative action. The question is, are we implementing it? So you see what policy does. Policy lays down foundation, gives us standards, removes barriers, and says, okay, we've identified an issue. This is what we are going to solve. So for us, policy is key. And then it's also important to note that for us at the regulatory level, we do not set policy. Policy is nationally set by the executive. So this is by the Minister of ICT and the cabinet itself and the president. So what we do on our side is we take that which the government has decided is a priority and we go on ahead and implement it. And for us now within the National Communication Authority, bridging the digital divide is very important for us. And this takes on various forms. Like I've said, access to connectivity, digital literacy skills, and that's why we're able to start programs like Build and partner with the other civil societies that are doing such initiatives so that we can come together. Ensuring people have access to technologies. That's why we have a program that at least gives people a laptop at the end of the program to ensure that whatever they have learned is continuous. And so that's what policy does. That's why policy is important, to ensure that access is meaningful. It's not just it's not just something that is paper. It's not written on paper. It's meaningful, that it is impacting people. Yeah.
Wow, that is so wonderful. And I'm happy that you are working on the connectivity of the access to the access of the communication. So I'm so happy about that. And just recently, last year in December, I went to my village and I had wanted to get connected to the internet to attend some program on UTAN and other stuff. But it was so hard for me to access because the connectivity was so poor. So I'm happy that it is in place, and I hope in the next few months or few years, people will be connected. Like the program we are doing today, some of the ladies or some girls, if there was connectivity, they would have been here. But because there's no connectivity, it is so hard for some of them to even join such program. And we're going to be connected to such people like you and get inspired. And you begin from nowhere and to be somewhere. So that is so great. Thank you. I think Alaki, we can take from there. That's the next question. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just say, Lip is such a, I would say, smart young lady, intelligent, always working to empower other women. And when I heard from a call that Moira is her mentor,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello. How about now? Can anyone hear me? Okay. I will even come back. Roland, can you take over? Thanks.
So I can just step in. So what Alakir was saying was anyway, she's coming back and she will continue, but she was echoing the fact that you are a mentor to Liz, and that is powerful. She can see you through Liz. That's basically what she was saying, because Liz has been here on this platform. And I think Alakiri submits. Alakiri can take it, carry on with what you were about to say.
Yeah, Moira, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me, Moira?
Okay.
I don't think it's happening. Yeah, I can speak briefly, and Rhoda can display the question on the screen. But I was
I
just
still
saying how
can't
much
hear
I.
her. Sorry.
You cannot? Yeah, I was just saying I can see a lot of Moira through Lit, and she's doing an amazing thing. I just wanted to emphasize the power of mentorship, and we see it here at the U-turn, and I'm excited about the future and the potential and the
I can't hear
possibilities
her.
that we
Sorry.
have now that we have Lit. So please proceed with the program. That's the question, and I'm gonna mute myself. Thank you.
Yeah, so she's just asking you, and she's seeing the power of mentorship that you've done through Liz, and she's saying she's just relating it to the work that we do on the U-turn of mentoring young people, and being able to build the pipeline of the next. They call it next generation, but we at the U-turn we call rising generation, right? We need to build a pipeline of young people that will occupy space and own the space, just like Maura. So the question that Alakir was about to ask you is here on the screen is, can you share key lessons from, the work that you are doing with the girls in ICT program and the Build initiative? What has been the what success can you share? What challenges, what lessons that anyone here can learn from if they plan to replicate or to collaborate with you?
All right. I think for me the biggest lesson was that because initially when I was creating the program, I was using myself as a baseline. In terms of the expectation is that at least by the time someone is because the first cohort we did was with high schoolers, so we had a senior 2, senior 3, because senior 4s by then would be doing exams. So we had senior 4, senior 3. We did a cohort of 15 girls, and the initial program was actually designed around what the world is doing related to digital literacy. So we were going big, talking about coding and graphic design, and it sounded very good. But when we got to the ground, we realized that some of the girls that we were with had never actually ever touched a laptop. They had no idea even how to turn it on. So from the first week, we actually had to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I think we have created a program from a point of privilege. We are assuming that everyone has the same experience with us. We're assuming that everyone has the same opportunities as I did, at least because I was using myself as a reference point. But having to sit down with these girls and say, yeah, we don't have any electronic devices at our homes. We might have one at home, but it belongs to my dad and we're not allowed to touch it, and so forth and so forth. So I had to go back to the drawing board, and we had to go back to the very basic of things. What is a computer? I remember we had to get a CPU, open it up and point out, this is what this does, this is what this does. And some of these things, for someone like me who has grown up in Kenya, these are basic things that I've learned, since my primary days. All the schools I went to up to up to high school, even university, we all had a computer lab that, so access to for me for these things was very easy. And the reality on the ground was that the things here were very different. So we had to go down to the very basics. And that has actually helped the program grow. So what we usually do now is before we actually do the program, we actually have a baseline interview. We ask you, so what's your experience with it? Because it also helps us understand who knows this and who doesn't. What's your background like, so that we tailor our lessons specifically to be able to cater for you. So for me, that was a very important thing. And then also the fact that digital literacy is for everyone. It's not just for people who want to do ICTs and STEMs. We live in a highly digitalized world, and in the coming few years, a lot of the things are going to be online, are going to be digital. So if you are not part of this system, you are going to be left behind. And so many times in South Sudan, our motto is, oh, we are a young country. We just got independence over for 15 years ago. It doesn't really matter, because the world is moving, and is moving at a very fast pace. As when we're trying to just catch up with what's happening now, the world has moved 10 years in front. Having lived in Europe, the life there is very different. The concept of Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, algorithms, automated systems, all these things, the way they work, the way they operate, we are lagging behind. So for me, it's very important that everyone, either old, young, wherever it is you are, having access to digital technologies is crucial for your survival in this particular space that we live in. So for me, those are the two lessons that really drew to me. And the fact that it was so beautiful to actually be able to meet all these girls from diverse backgrounds, see them come together, build actual friendships, see them learn, see the joy when someone has been able to crack something that was difficult, to be able to type. It's such a beautiful experience, and it changes who you are as a person. And for me, it's the desire is, if we're able to replicate this and let it cut across the whole country, it would be such a beautiful thing.
Amazing, amazing. I like how when you started the program and you realize, oh, they don't have devices. My own personal experience is I tried to join this mentorship program in Uganda. It was a collaboration with agency, the organization, and was so basically, I went in expecting every girl to have their own device and to be paired with one or two people. And it turns out it was a group of girls from different classes with only one iPad in the front of the class and everybody sitting in the back. It was not the best experience. I did the best I could with what I had, but it would have been more impactful had each individual had their own device. And I'm really excited such initiatives such as Build are available in South Sudan, empowering young girls to have access to technology and to have access to other things through technology. So if anyone is watching, I think this is a great opportunity to take this initiative and scale it up, and even speak with Moira, like get some mentorship, ask questions. I personally, I'm going to be asking her questions on offline. Personally interested in technology and working at the intersection of women empowerment, housing, and um, fleeing violence in Canada. But I'm hoping to bring these skills and knowledge and passion back to my own people. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm so grateful to have met you today, Moira, and I'll pass it on to Rhoda to ask the next question. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, Alakir. What a great reflection on the response on the two lessons that Maura just shared, and it also reminded me sometime of how we think about inclusion and privilege. I remember also my own experience when I actually get introduced to computer in high school, and our high school computer to kind of girls. Uh, it was just like I remember there were like few computers in the room, like maybe eight, and the students are like more than like 40, 40, 80, we were 80 students. And we go to class, we remove our shoes. They say, you know, don't bring dust to the computer lab. It used to be like a mosque. We used to bring our shoes out. And because the sheer number of people, you know, present at the time, if you just even touch the computer, you feel successful. I think if we had phone at the time, we'll just snap that and go on TikTok. This is, you know, you will feel proud that at least you touch computer. But if you haven't typed or, you know, haven't learned anything significantly useful, but you know, when we talk about inclusion, it's that something like this, like people who don't even have access to touch computer or to own computer, to own a phone in this digital world where everything, as you said, rightfully said, it will be health will be accessed through technology in the near future, education through technology, legal support through technology, and if you know many people are left behind, then we will be definitely not kind. We will be young forever, and we want South Sudan to grow to be adult at some point. So thank you for that. The next question that I want to have that build on that is, it's about, you know, in your view, how can institution move beyond inclusion as a concept to no inclusion as a measurable impact for women? And I want to stress this question because you know, you talked earlier about South Sudan, you know, mandating 35% of women to be included, right? And that need a critical mass of women to be educated, to really occupy these spaces, right? But you also mentioned there are two challenges. There are, you know, access challenges for women to actually get the right skills to occupy these places, right? So we can have a policy enable, allow policy, allow women, but there are no women because of whatever structural barriers that you shared earlier, the skill gap that women don't have, or the cultural barrier that women have some level that they have to reach before they marry and go and take care of children. So a critical number of women don't reach the highest level to actually be at the table because they are smaller the table that they need to occupy by 16 or 17, you are only married, so you are in kitchen table. So talk about this. How can we make this really impactful journey for women?
I think it's important that we stop having blanket generic statements. Gender bridge the gender divide. It sounds really good, but it needs to be able, first we need to break it down. We need to be able to establish what is it that is important for us. Number one, I think, is we need to get data. We don't have data. So most of the time we're moving blind. So how do we make interventions that are relevant for our context if we don't actually know what the challenges are for our people? It's because sometimes what we do is we take what has been implemented in various countries, and their context is very different. We are a war-torn country. People are consistently on the run, movement from here to there. So how do you create policies that actually fit these people? We need to be able to understand what are those actual challenges, because even as we speak about the barriers, we need to also go down to specifics. We can talk about stereotypes, we can talk about skill gaps. We need to be able to understand what exactly is that. How many girls are joining school? How many of them are dropping off? How many of them are joining university? How many of them are taking part in ICT related programs and not? How many are dropping off? How many are graduating? How many go on to get jobs? How many women do we have right now in the sector? We're not able to quantify that. So even our interventions will not make sense. But then also, even as we are doing this, is we need to have actionable. Our impact, our solutions we need to be able to state them. So we need to be able to say that if the constitution is saying that 35% of all leadership roles need to belong to women, therefore we are requiring that all institutions, government, public, private, we need to see that reflected, and we expect you to be reporting after a particular period. We also want you to have quotas, specific quotas that are reserved for women in terms of internship, so that irrespective of the fact that you have 50 men that have applied, if you said that you have 15 spaces that are reserved for women, you will look for all ways for women to participate in that, because those are opportunities that a lot of people do not need. So we need to be able to be cognizant of the fact that the barriers do exist, and therefore we need to take more measures to ensure that equity. But also we need investment in education, the ecosystem surrounding the skills gap, curriculums. We need the government to say, okay, we are introducing digital technologies, ICT, STEM, compulsory for everybody. We expect investment into these sectors. When these companies are renewing their licenses, we need to go on ahead and put in a condition that, as part of your CS, expect you to invest in computer labs for schools A, B, C, and D across A, B, C, and D states. There's a 4%. There's a 4% that all the companies within the ICT contribute towards a universal service access fund. So we need to also say, okay, this is the amount of money that we project we will get. Of this amount, this is what we are setting aside specifically for women to be able to, be part and parcel of this sector. But also we require transparency and accountability. So we need reporting, very important, for us to be able to know, okay, at the beginning of this period, we set out a strategic plan, we set out a policy that looks like A, B, C, and D. Were we able to achieve them? Why did we not achieve them? Did we miscalculate our priorities? Did we shift our attention to something else? And if we did, why did we do that? And are these things still important to us? If not, why did we put them in? So those are the type of things that we need to do. We need to actually be intentional about wanting to ensure that women have access, women are participating, and that systems that we are creating are inclusive.
Really, thank you. What I'm hearing is evidence-based decision making, evidence-based, and really the more investing more into like collecting data, and getting to know, building the pipeline intentionally for this kind of work. I just want, before I give my mic to my colleague Joel to ask the next question, I want to have just a follow-up question. When we talk about investment and we think about South Sudan economy at the moment, thing don't. Maybe because I'm from outside perspective, we see economy is really not in great shape, and that's where there is underinvestment in education, in system like this, in technology, in infrastructure, things that enable this kind of work to happen. So, what do you think is the role of individual, in this issue? Like, what can people, like individual, like families, uh, organization, that nonprofit organization can play, or community organization can play at this point to just step in and bridge this gap while the government is sorting its house together? Like, is there like small thing, baby step that can happen at the lower level, private sector, or do we wait for government to fix all this?
Well, I think when you talk about civil society, it's about advocacy. We need to keep clamoring, talking more about it. We need more participation. We need inclusive. We need diversification, because once and sometimes it's because uh, certain aspects are ignored because noise is not made about it. It's very easy to talk about iOS PLM because that's what everyone is consistently talking about. But if you have clamoring that consistently saying, we have an issue, we have an access issue, we have a divide issue, what are we doing as people? What are we doing as a country? So consistent advocacy, it can be quite tiring, but it's something that needs to happen, to consistently be spoken and said and said and said, because then now other people get to start speaking about it, and it's transferred now from the wider civil society into the homes, where the parents are also encouraging and saying, okay, all right, we are moving away from the mindset of these are the gendered roles, this is what a woman, quote unquote, is supposed to do, and that mostly will stem from advocacy and clamoring. But at the very end of the day, we still look up to our governments to be able to lead, because once, and like you said, the economic situation right now, it's quite difficult. And ideally people, the focus is, am I going to eat, or am I going to to buy data? Am I going to feed my family, or we're going to be focused on whether we have access to Wi-Fi or access to. So again, we have a lot of competing priorities, but that does not mean that this is not important. So we need to consistently speak about it. Platforms like this, questions like this, brainstorm and ask ourselves questions. What is there that can be done that has not been done? How do we get to encourage the government to, to furthermore want to invest in this, even no matter how difficult of a situation we're in? There is a lot more we can do. We have the special envoy now, creating a scholarship for 1,300 students. How about we make the scholarship and say, okay, we will reserve half of these have to be for girls, and they have to be related to STEM, ICT. So so there are existing programs that are already happening. They might not be at a larger national scale, but there are small things that are already happening that we can still use those as opportunities, because they can also be used as concept notes for us, as a proof of concept, like if we can do this on a small scale, when we don't necessarily have all the resources and capacity to be able to do it. If we can do it on a smaller scale, then maybe we can replicate it on a national level, so that a larger number of people are able to benefit and appreciate it.
Excellent, excellent. And what I'm hearing is that we have to beat the drum, and the dancers will come and the dancing will happen eventually. So if you are here on the U-Turn platform watching, wherever you are, you have, the role to play. And that being beating a drum is not a hard thing. You can just do it right now by sharing this conversation. You don't know who will listen to it and maybe contribute to this discussion, to furthering it, or to finding avenues for some of these ideas to be implemented in different ways. So you can share it, you can ask your question, you can brainstorm with us in the comment section, as Moira mentioned. So thank you so much for being with us and for sharing the conversation. I'll pass it on to my next colleague to ask the next question. Joel might take it away.
Okay, thank you, Akwal, for that wonderful questions, and thank you, Moira. You have really answered it very well, and there's nothing more to echo on that. So our question number 6 is that what role do legal and regulatory frameworks play in either enabling and restricting women access um, to digital opportunities?
So
Did you pick me?
almost the same thing as to what policy does. Sorry, you were saying something?
Okay. I thought you didn't get me well, so you can go ahead.
Oh no, I understood you. Yeah. So as I was saying, it's almost within the same breath of what policy would do. You know, if the legal frameworks or the regulatory framework is set up in a way that encourages investment, because it's the same thing consistently: skills, access, affordability, that's the enabling framework. On the flip side, it could be that the legal framework has not caught up with what the digital evolution is happening. And I will talk about it from a space of safety online. As a woman, there are certain barriers in place that are meant to ensure that I do not effectively participate and have a voice digitally. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but over the past couple of weeks, there's been an uproar over AI and its use for generating and depicting women in the nude. And this was on X, over 3 million images were created. And most of it was for women, and a good portion of it was for children, So, and if there are no frameworks or regulatory systems in place that prevent such things, then women will not want to participate in such things, because I am not going to be putting myself out there only for someone to feel like they have the right to take my data, which is a picture, my liking, go put it through a system and have it strip me of my dignity and publish it online, And that's why the regulators around the world are angry and say, no, there needs to be safeguards, because this is dehumanizing. You're violating the privacy of these women. You're violating their privacy. You're violating their autonomy, their integrity. So frameworks can exist, but we need to ensure that there's institutional capacity to be able to implement this framework, these laws, back to concept of the ecosystem surrounding access, which is pricing, affordability of services. Right now, South Sudan, we probably have one of the most expensive internets in the world. Accessing it is very expensive, but it's again because we do not have infrastructure, So again, there's a lot in play that decides a lot of these things. There's a time my boss was under fire for because tariff adjustments would happen, and they would be so big. They would usually happen in like 3 or 4 phases, so that the impact is not felt instantly, but you would definitely feel it. And he said is that one of his biggest challenges is to ensure that services are available while being affordable. Because if the telecommunication private companies, at the end of the day, they are private people and they need to make a profit. If they are not breaking even, then your access is actually going to be revoked. So a regulatory framework is one that needs to ensure that there's a balance. Sometimes it can be quite difficult, especially in our context. Again, limited infrastructure, consistent disruptions here. That our economy is consistently inflating. So such aspects kind of also make it difficult for implementing frameworks that over time benefit. But with the limited that we have, and I'm speaking from an area perspective, we are really doing our really best to ensure that at least at the very bare minimum, people can still have access. I think South Sudan was part of one of the first countries that allowed Starlink to have landing rights in South Sudan, to have for people to be able, because it's a very good system because it's instant. It doesn't require people to put up a tower, transport it. What? So you now have a lot of people in the states who have access to internet, and that's what a regulatory framework looks like. That is what such policies, such flexibility allows, so that people are able to have access.
Okay, well, I think I've been having some little bit of an issue with the network, but I picked you very well on a point that you were saying. Regulations sometimes can expand the access, and they can also protect. It's either they can be your gateway to opportunities, or they can be barriers. They can block the ways. So it's up to you to seize the opportunity when you're being helped. You need to also help the government. You need to help the framework, the legal system as a young mind. So thank you for that, and it's very clear on that. So, Liv, you can take the next question, or if you have any follow-up questions, you can ask.
Oh, okay. The question was answered well, and I think I don't have a follow-up question on that one. The question I always answered straightforward. The next question that we'll ask Moira is, like my first time to come and see the different leadership in different countries, how they are run. Like here, when I see like everyone is eager. If there's a position to be held, you wanted to be a leader. Everyone wants to be a leader. Let me just say, my first time to come to the university, I went to my class. Everyone, they were like, "Who want to be the course rep?" So about 20, and in that 20 number, about 17 of them were girls. I was like, wow. And in my mind, I also wanted to come to be a leader. Also, I want to be a person. Imagine seeing 17 of them. I was like, hey, let me sit back and I fast forward how these people are going to do their things. I was seeing that there's an eagerness in women that they really wanted to be in leadership here. Now, when it's come to our country, how can young women prepare themselves to eagerly to engage confidently in leadership, advocacy, and policy making within the ICT space? So, as we see in some of the countries, people just show up. They really wanted to be they want to be leaders, especially when we talk about in the ICT. Most of the women, they are doing great work. Well, when I was here, I heard that one of the company, the network company called Telecel, it was owned by a woman, you see? And when you come to South Sudan, I don't see women that they can make that one. So, why do you see that there are some of the challenges that really prevent women or they cannot even be confident of making a decision of being leaders in ICT centers? You see, even from your background, we are not from like your background is not from ICT, but you show up. So, what do you think are some of the things that some of the policies that make people really like women not to participate actually in the ICT? Let me just frame it in that way. You got my
Sorry, I
question.
have to keep shifting with my laptop because it looks like this. I can hear from the laptop, but not the screen. Your question, you're making reference about how can young women participate in this space. We have in the technology sector within our NCA, we have two female directors. In the sector itself, currently, right now, the CEO of MTN is a woman, and I think I will check this, but I think the deputy of digital is also a woman. So one is we need to look for mentors, people within our space that we aspire to, and create a connection with them, because you'll be able to hear their stories, and a lot of them will tell you they did not immediately start as CEO, they started somewhere. So it's a path, and so it's really good to have people around you who have walked the path that you want to walk, and they'll be able to give you really good insights on how to grow. Another thing is education and skill, because there is no way we'll say that you're going to participate in a space and you do not have the education, you do not have the skills. So if you have the opportunity to upskill yourself consistently, if you have, I know people who have done cybersecurity, there are always certifications that you have to do in order to be, the top of the game. It's the same thing consistently. I had to go back to school because my bachelor is no longer cutting it. I have to go back to school. And with time, I still have to go back and get another degree, because that is the only way that you can compete. What My former boss was part of a tech talk last year, and one of the key things that he was telling the young people is that don't wait until you have graduated to start looking for a job, because that's one of the biggest mistakes that we do. You wait until the end of your 4 year, 5 years, and that's when you have your CV and you're moving around. And your CV is blank. It says, you don't have any work experience. There is so much you can do within that period of 4 years, because there's a time frame within your university when you're not in school for like 3 months. Use that opportunity to volunteer. I know internship opportunities cannot be as many, but if they are available, take advantage of them. If there are spaces, someone like Nelson Kwadje, and I'm sure a lot of you know him. We partner so well in the Build program. He's someone who can help connect you. So it's very important for you to build yourself as you grow towards the graduation. By the time I was graduating, I think I had interned in 2 law firms. So I already had a certain type of experience to me, the way I would move, the way I would. So some of these things come from, they don't come because I automatically finished university and I could wear a hat of, okay, I'm confident. No, there's a lesson I learned throughout my period. So take advantage of the gaps you have in your study to actually go on ahead, volunteer in spaces. You don't know if software engineers, I don't want to to botch what you people do, but based on what you do, I'm sure there is whatever knowledge you have up to that point, you're able to build it. I know that a lot of these technological companies, they put out a lot internships on their websites. They call them summer programs, some of them. And because of the way technology is set up, you do not have to physically be there. There's a South Sudanese girl that I follow on TikTok, and she got an internship with Microsoft. So these are the things. And even as I'm saying this, I say the same thing. I have a brother who's in university now. He's doing data science. I told him, you cannot wait until you've completed, because the biggest challenge you'll have is, in your class, how many are you? Something has to be different about you. So by the time you're stepping out and you're in the job market, people are saying, okay, when I look at you, you both graduated in 2025, but you appear to have a lot more work experience than you do. So I'm more likely to go with you, because I know that I do not have to start from scratch. So we have to build ourselves. Let's not wait until the very end of the journey for us to decide, okay, this is what we're going to do. Let's start building ourselves. Immediately you've decided this is who you are, this is the type of work that you want to do. Start identifying people in your field, companies in your field. What are the skill sets that you need to gain, and you build it, and you build your CV. So for me, those are some of the key aspects. And then you need to network. You can't keep to yourself. It's very easy to, but how are you going to know about opportunities if you're not part of a network? Because a lot of opportunities are never advertised online. You will never know until someone calls you and say, oh, by the way, there's such and such that is happening, and I think you would be interested. I think your skill set would fit. How will you know about them if you're not part of a network? So we all need to get out. The biggest challenge we have is we want to stay in our comfort zones, and we expect opportunities to find us where we are. That's not how it works. So you need to put in the effort, you need to put on the work, you need to get out of yourself. And I will use myself as an example. When I moved to South Sudan, I moved to South Sudan in 2021. Other than the family I was living with, I did not know anyone in this country. And it was one of the hardest things to do. So I had come because I had gotten a job in one of the law firms. But I told myself, if I stay where I'm going to struggle. So I met a friend that we went to high school together, and I was consistently around her. From where she was, there was a lawyer there that was really impressive, and I wanted to be like him. And I told him, hey, you don't know me, but I'm looking for. I like how you're doing your work, and I would like you to mentor me. It took him aback, but if I make such an impression like that, there's no way you're going to ignore me. Through him, I met a group of really amazing young people. Through them, I met Nelson Kwadje. Through Nelson Kwadje, I was able to get my first job. Because why? Even with Nelson, when I met Nelson, and it's one of the stories that he usually tells people, I went to him and I told him, I think I can help you. That's what I actually went to him and I said, I think I can help you because you look like you're a very busy person, but you need someone to organize you around. I will be your personal assistant. And I worked for him for around 6 to 7 months. And I was not actually getting paid. I think he was just giving me like £5,000 back then in 2021 for just for transport. And that was enough for me because through him, I was able to get actual opportunities. I remember through him, I did a write-up for an organization on data localization in South Sudan, and that is something that I've put in my CV. So if anyone asks, I have done a write-up. Why? Because I was I understood. I'm an introvert. I like to keep to myself, but I understood that I'm in an environment where I do not know anyone. I do not have connections like other people do. I need to be my biggest connection. So I went out of myself. I reached out to people. I spoke to them. The worst thing that anyone can ever do to you is say no. Like that's the worst thing that could happen to you. So let not the fear of rejection prevent you from reaching out and wanting to accomplish things. Yeah.
Wow, that is so great. Yeah, yeah. You have really loved the point. Don't wait until you graduate. You see, there is a story that I wanted to share here. It was just recently when I get back to the country. I was like, me. I wanted to see somewhere I can really do internship, but I was not actually looking for the internship, but I really wanted to understand the field I'm doing. So after finishing, what really should I do? So I went to the hospital. They accepted me. That was the Alubidela Hospital. In the lab, we were just working there inside. So one of the lab technician asked me, was like, "Hey, Liz, what are you doing?" I told him. It was like, "Oh, you're doing biochemistry." I was like, "Yes." I was like, "Which year?" I told him I just completed my first year, and was like, "Hey, and you are coming for internship for what? Why do you want to start early?" I was like, I just wanted to understand the concept and what you people are really doing here in the lab. It was like, my friend, let me tell you, you have an idea in your mind. What you need is that you just don't want to learn knowledge without practicing it. That what we need someone who, in this field, you need someone who is competent. So people are there, but you need to be distinct from other people. So if you just wanted to have your degree and you don't want it to interact with other people, or you don't want to even practice what you are doing, later on when you graduate, you will just hear people saying that I didn't get a job, but you are not connected. No one knows you, and you have not done anything before. You see, so that is one of the things. You don't sit down. And recently, I also involved myself in some research. There's one of my instructor that was in View. She's called Grace. Grace was doing a project, and she just posted in our group. We have that group of ours for call to build Banat Initiative. So she was like, I need some people who could help me in my project. And then I saw it. I was even in the class, so I just texted her. I was like, "How long does it take?" She told me that about 6 hours. I was like, "Okay, let me try." So after getting there, she told me to create an account that was in the Network Academy. It is about digital awareness. When I was doing it, I fall in love with it because the work what I was getting, the knowledge I was getting was so amazing. So I just went. There was something I didn't get well, so I have to go to my TA. My TA went and took my laptop and was like, he wanted to go on the internet on the Chrome. He saw it there. It was like, hey, you are doing biochemistry. I was like, yeah. And then it was like, so how did you know about Network Academy? I told him I'm not restricted, so I can learn anywhere. So if I just go to that place, they don't ask me a lot of questions. Oh, there was asking me which country. I told him. He was like, okay, keep the spirit up. You see, we don't need to just like restrict your mind. You have to be open enough. Create friends that's like connection because we know that being connected and have diverse knowledge it will really help you in this field and in this world. No one will just say that you will use your own degree to even to live with it. So there are a lot of opportunities out of your field. Like the same thing that Moira is now. She did not do something related to that, but I'm even inspired. I think I should also be among the ICT guys. So thank you so much. You can also take from here.
Wow, wow. I'm learning so much from both you, Moira, and Lip, and I'm personally inspired. So, yeah, and it's solid advice. Like, literally, you have to get out there and actually get talking to people to get opportunities. And that's what would distinguish the people who get the job and the people who are, struggling after the graduation. I want us to switch gears a little bit. I think we talked about this question, but let's push it further. About the gaps that exist in between the national digital policies and the realities of women on the ground. When you are working, implementing projects, and you see what is on paper, it doesn't really match what is needed on the ground. What are some of the ways we can close these gaps, and what are some initiatives, if you have all the resources you can get, what would you do as Moira to implement them? Can you hear me?
Sorry, I have to keep switching.
That's okay.
I think the gaps that exist, one is the idea that it's usually the same conversations. And when we talk about connectivity, the idea that just because people, there's a tower that exists in a particular area, that people are actually accessing, the services related to that particular connection. So for me, I think connectivity does not usually translate to access immediately, because still the other barriers do exist. There's poverty, so people might not be able to access phones. Maybe they have the button one for the 2G, we call it 2G, the ones that just has call function on it. So they're not able to fully appreciate what that connectivity means. And then also the idea that what fits in Juba as an art space translates to the states. So there's no one size fit all for all of us. So for me, I think back to evidence-based solutions is, for me, that's the most important. We need to be able to have data. We need to be able to actually understand what are those actual issues that women are facing. And let's not use Juba as a baseline, because that's the worst thing we could ever do, is use ourselves as a reference point. I remember I did a class in my undergrad, and it was on it was gender. It was related to gender, and we were just having these conversations, and someone was saying, "Oh, I think we need to remove the 35% affirmative action, or the nominated seats for women in parliament." And because in her mind she's saying, it appears as though the aim of it has already been achieved. But the question is, why are you using what you're seeing as a baseline for what is happening elsewhere? Exactly. So for me, the thing is, once we have data, then we are able to actually tailor the needs of our people, tailor the needs of these women, find solutions that can actually fit their context very well. If building a tower is all it takes to fix issues, then everyone would be online right now. But clearly, it has not fixed it. So there is something that we are not addressing, that we need to address. For me, that would be what I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think just making sure the regional realities are reflected in solutions, and I do watch a lot of empowerment that comes to these spaces that don't have as much access to technology as compared to other parts of the world. And what is always going on in my mind is like, you know, where I'm staying right now, you could not, for some reason, you don't have a computer or you don't have a phone. There's a library. The local library has computers. You can access them for free. There's also like the version of that back home, I would say maybe an internet cafe. If somebody has an internet cafe, build them in a remote area and make, and as a sustainable way of making business, people who are able to pay for it will pay for it and have some programming on the side for women to have access during certain hours. So I believe that access, since the central issue, there are different ways to solve it. It's not, I don't think it's hard to solve it because there has been solutions in different countries that we can implement back home. And if anyone is watching and is thinking of an entrepreneurship business, technology is a space that is always going to be growing, and you can do good and also get money out of it. So that's what popped up in my mind while I was thinking about this question. Thank you so much, Moira. I will give it back to Joel to ask the final question. Rhoda, sorry, to Rhoda.
Yes, no, happy to take it. And something that just clicked while Mara was speaking is the connection. Nelson Kwaje was a guest previously on this show and is also mentor to many. And I just kind of connect. He's also mentor to Mara. Mara's mentor to Liz. You see the chain of relationship, and this is the power of relationship. That we always talk about. That relationship are things that move us to the next level. And even they say your network is your net worth. So I know many people that are on the U-turn, they are connected in one way or another. And we just come and meet here because I think it's the mindset that has brought us here. So great to know Nelson Kwaji's great personality in IT specifically, and is shaping future narrative. And I know online, when I first met him online, he just post jokes. So I didn't know he was actually a big guy. And then when I get to know him deeper, I was like, oh wow, this is our employer. So you have to be nice to online jokers. These are big people. So good to know that, and good to get that connection. Mental connection, Amora. Thanks for saying how he enables you, and that is the gift we give to those people who give us, who open the doors for us. I always say, I am where I am because someone opened and held the door for me, and that is powerful. And I have to do the same. I have to hold the door, don't close it. And when I open it, someone will also go and open it, and the door will remain open. And that is where we grow together. That's where we progress. That's where we transform ourselves and our communities and our country. So really, really powerful. I know we are running out of time. I want to ask this final question. We talked about partnership earlier. So Maura, looking ahead, you have done so much. You could not share everything here, but if you were to just think about your vision for women in digital world, women not just digital but regulated digital world, like bring your background to this conversation over the next 5 to 10 years. What action do you think are most urgent to create, these pathways for young girls and women in our country, South Sudan?
I think there could be a couple of things that we could point out to, but for me, what jumps out is education and skills, because we will not be able to effectively participate. Anything else that comes after that is because you have the skill to be able to be part of that space, to be able, for us to be able to say that we are reserving a 35% a quota for women to be in leadership within the ICT telecommunication sector. You need to have the skills, you need to have, education. So for me, I think digital literacy is at the top of that list for me, because education would enable you to have access to opportunities, will enable you to have access to mentors, will enable you to have access to technologies. So So I think we need to invest in our education system. Our curriculums need to be able to be adjusted. But also within that same breath, we also need to ensure that mentorship is key and foundational in a lot of what we're doing. It's important for South Sudanese girls, even as they're coming up, to see women who understand what their struggles look like. I'm a firstborn daughter, and anyone who's South Sudanese understands what that comes with. My dad passed on in 2019. So that means I am also a breadwinner for my family, and there's someone out there who's the family is looking at you and they're like, okay, you are the hope for us. And if you hear my story, you're able to say, okay, if she made it, then there is hope for me, even within, just away from just the sector itself, but also in terms of just your growth and trajectory towards life. So for me, that's very important. We need to invest. We need to invest in educational opportunities. We need to have more girls going to school. We need to have more girls taking up STEM, ICT related subjects, because the participation of women means that even when these systems being created, even when the designs are being set up, there's a gendered perspective to it. One of the biggest challenges that we are facing with AI right now is that AI is highly designed and trained in data that favors men. Sadly, they say the perfect data set is white, male, middle age. So as a woman, as a South Sudanese woman, I'm Black and a woman. So that means that I'm already I'm already disadvantaged almost two steps. So if you have a woman in these setups, they're able to bring that perspective and say, okay, no, the data sets that we're using to train this artificial intelligence is actually more geared towards this. We need to have more of this. The issue related to AI and image-based sexual abuse. Imagine if you have women developers, who are part of these systems, red teaming and saying, no, we need to also test these systems for prompts that are likely to, invade the privacy, the integrity, and the autonomy of women. That's why it is very important for us to be educated, so that when opportunities do come, we are fully capable to actually take up those spaces, belong in those spaces. Yeah.
Wow. So education and mentorship and women being part of, creating the system. We call it like, feminist informed policies, feminine informed systems, right? So that is the key.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. She'll take it away to facilitate the last portion and end the show.
Okay, thank you. What a way to close all the questions. What I've learned from that last question is that, policy, women should be policy architects, not only beneficiaries. So, and for government to do that, government should protect women. Like you have talked of online abuse being subjected to women only, which means government should ensure that they protect women aggressively, like online. So government should also fund the women-led, take initiatives like. So that's all I've learned from that. So we are out of time, and thank you, Moira. I will only give you 1 minute to tell us your final U-turn message. It was really good to have you here, sir. Before I
Thank you
close,
so much for having me.
did you pick me
Thank
well?
you so much for having me. Can you hear me? Okay. I am really appreciative that you've given me a platform to speak. Interestingly, this past week I was praying and I was telling God I want to have platforms where I can speak and contribute to conversations, and this is the very first platform that I have had, and I know this is going to open doors for me. So the U-turn will always be a reference point for me. Is that it gave me an opportunity to be able to articulate, things that I've never been able to say out loud. So I'm very appreciative. You are an answered prayer to me. So thank you very much. I think my last message to girls is to just say that the opportunities for our participation is there. We have to want it as bad as everyone else. I always tell people, and sometimes it comes out as a joke, there's a group of people who have an aggressiveness that I like, and that's Dinka men. I can't describe it, I can't explain it, but they have a presence and an aggressiveness that you will have to listen to them. And I aspire that for us. I aspire that to be, to be what we want. Like, I might not be dressed efficiently for this space, but I can enter that door and I will speak to you and you will hear what I'm saying. So that's what I want. I would like for girls and women to know that the spaces out there are built for all of us. They're not just reserved for the men. There's no such thing as a tech space belonging to just men. All of us need to participate for sustainability's sake and for us to be able to benefit. Like what's his name? I've forgotten your name. Just said that we should not just be beneficiaries, but we should also be architects. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Moira, for your honesty and for grounding this conversation in policy, practice, and live reality. So, what stands out clearly is that women's leadership in the digital space is not about participation only. So it's about influence and access and accountability. So that one really clearly stands out. So in today's discussion, it has really reminded us that, if women are excluded from many aspects, then we will always have those inequalities that we think we are fighting for. So uh, today's discussion has really entered into my blood. Let me just say it like that. So I've really learned a lot, and as the future of men for tomorrow's future, let me say, I don't think I will be a victim of the practices that we are discussing right now. So at the U-turn, we believe that real change begins when difficult questions are really asked and are brought on the table like this and discussed. So to our audience, the challenge is simple. Pay attention to who is making the decisions and who is missing from the table and what are you doing personally. So thank you for joining, and it's good to have you. I always feel comfortable having you down and sharing up all this. If you have anything that you feel like should be discussed in the next coming session on Saturday, then you can comment and tell us. So thank you. See you next Saturday. We can always bye
Bye
bye to our
bye. This is
online.
the only platform where we outnumber men. So, Joel, we outnumber you today.